Diego, I'll
There
record
we
right
go.
now. I'm hitting record right now to the
Perfect.
cloud. Done. All
Sick.
right, we're live.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, I'd love to go through some of my in-home sales training, just a handful of things that are working for me. So since being with FFL, I've been pretty blessed to have been able to submit 10K a week, probably 2 to 3 out of every 4 weeks. Of course, everybody, we have weeks where we don't do that. My philosophy is everybody has a bad week, but it's almost impossible to have a bad month if you're willing to put in the work. So it really does just come down to, of course, the number of dials, number of appointments. You guys know the numbers. You guys have already gone through a lot of the dialing stuff. We're going to focus a little bit more on the in-home, but at the same time, you need to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success with the most amount of at-bats as possible. So it's like if I go into the field and I've got 3 appointments, if I get no showed on 2 and I've only got 1 left, I'm selling out of desperation. I've got that commission breath that Julius talks about, and it's not fun to be selling from that place. Whereas if I've got 7, 8, 9 appointments in a day, which I know it's tough to get to that level, my average even is probably like between like 5 and 8 appointments in a day. That's generally my target, my goal. I've struggled to get to 10, but that's the ultimate goal. But when you go out there and you have 7, 8, 9 appointments in a day, and then you walk away from that first or second appointment with 1,000 or 2,000 AP, you have like this first sale swagger going about you for the rest of the day, like that early morning sale swagger that you walk into the rest of the houses like, I'm here to protect you, but I don't need this commission. And that feels really good. And there's something about when you go into the home, it's like, it happens to me all the time. Like, it's hard for you guys to believe, but there's out of like, I've submitted, between 20, my max is 40,000. Okay. In a month. I've literally had streaks every single month where I've gone 15 no sales in a row, 17 no sales in a row, 22 no sales in a row. Like 2 weeks ago, I went 22 in a row with a no sale, and I still submitted 34,000 in January. So it's like that shit happens, but it's like at the end of the day, I was doing something, and I don't necessarily know exactly what it was that I was doing, but the client could feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when I kind of broke it down with Grady, one of the things that he shared with me is he's like, what were you doing? He's like, you went out there and you submitted 40K this month. How do you go 22 no sales in a row? How does that happen? He's like, it can't be just the leads. It can't be just luck of the draw. There had to have been something you were doing. He's like, what were you trying? What were you saying? And I was like, well, I've been watching a lot of different trainings about how to overcome objections and this and that, blah, blah, blah. And I tried this that Julius said, and I tried this that Jen said, and I tried this that Clay said. And he goes, bro, you're not Julius, you're not Clay, you're not Jen, you're a nice dude. He's like, not to say that you shouldn't be tough with clients and challenge them. He's like, but that's not your style. He's like, I need you to go back to just being you in the home and
Mm-hmm.
protecting the family. He's like, you're a funny guy, you're a loving guy, you're there to protect the family. Do whatever was you were doing that was working before and stop doing whatever the heck you were trying. And that was super helpful for me. It just kind of took a lot of pressure off of me. So I'll kind of give you all just some perspective into some of the little things that I've done in the home. Of course, I encourage you to be you. Don't be me. Don't be Spencer. Don't be Diego. Just be you. So one of the things I shared at convention that was really important to me was having structure in the in-home and doing what's called increasing credibility and decreasing sales pressure. You guys probably heard that a million times inside of boot camp. Grady says our goal is to increase sales, increase credibility and decrease sales pressure. How do we increase credibility? Well, it's going there, it's being prepared, it's looking the part. So I'm probably not going to show up looking like this, to be completely honest. I'm probably going to wear, a polo shirt, some slacks, nice shoes. I sometimes wear a hat just because I'm having a bad hair day, but I got my name tag and everything. The name tag will increase the credibility. I've got my, my state license here and my little 3-ring binder. And my goal is to increase credibility as much as possible. My goal is to go in there and assume the role of I'm the doctor and I'm here to diagnose your issue, and here's your prescription. And because I'm a doctor, I'm the expert, I have the insurance license, you're going to listen to me, you're going to trust me. Okay. But also we have to build up that trust. So when I sit down with the client, one of the things that was super apparent to me when I first got started is I was so focused in on learning to dial that once I had a bunch of appointments, I was just like, oh crap, like I've just spent all of this time focusing on learning how to dial. What do I say in the home? What do I do next? I don't know what product to write. Do I have all the right things in my bag? Do I have this? Do I have that? And I realized I didn't necessarily need all of those things that I was just getting started. What you can really do is, it is so true that you can lean on your manager in the beginning, all you have to really get good at doing is setting the table, filling out the financial inventory, and then leaning on your manager to help you decide what direction to go. It's like when I first got into that home and I got through that first financial inventory and I called Grady and I said, okay, I got Mary here who's on an oxygen tank. She is, she's a smoker. She's hooked up to this oxygen tank full time. She has active cancer. And, Grady goes, okay, AIG. Okay, perfect. So I leaned on him and his knowledge. And then at that point, I was able to decide what product I was going to write. And then what else did he do? He didn't just tell me what product to write. He said, here's the 3 main bullet points that you need to hit on. Okay, this is level coverage that's never going to increase in price. This has a 2-year waiting period on it, meaning that, in the first 2 years, she's going to get back 110% of her premiums if something happens to her. But after 2 years and 1 day, she's going to get the full benefit to her family. Make sure you hit on these 3 points. What does she want? Burial or cremation? She wants burial. Okay, show her these 3 prices, write it down on a sheet of paper, say it like this, tell her to pick one, then ask her for the voided check in her driver's license. And even though I went through boot camp and I learned all that stuff, he reiterated that to me. So it gave me that freshness in my mind and that confidence that I called him. He told me what to do in the home. So don't be afraid to lean on somebody as you're just getting started. I probably called Grady, Ashley, Clay, Julius, a bunch of people who weren't even in my upline just for help in the home in the beginning, just so that I didn't have to worry about that underwriting. What I really focused on as I got started is I focused in on how can I do my best job of increasing the credibility, reducing the sales pressure by setting the table as an expert. Okay. So I remember I was watching Paul McLean's 8 Steps to a Final Expense in-home over and over and over again the night before my first appointment. And I was like, okay, I'm kind of freaking out a little bit. I've talked to people before, but this is a lot to remember. What am I going to do if I forget what to say? Is it going to be super awkward? What do I do? So all that I did was I took those 8 steps to a final expense in-home. I typed them into my computer, and then I wrote the word agenda at the top. Okay. So I've got my in-home agenda. So on one side, I've got my state license. On the other side, I have my agenda. Okay. So I'll kind of walk you all through exactly what I do, and then I'll go break down the agenda kind of step by step. So I come and I sit down in the home, and I got my bag next to me. So I'm just going to kind of pretend like I'm doing an in-home here. I pull out a folder. I've got pre-done folders, and inside of all these folders, I got my business card, this Why Life Insurance, that I'm your life insurance policy thing. I'll send this to you guys after. And then I've got a client profile, a credibility sheet, and a financial inventory. So pull out these 3 pieces of paper. I also pull out the lead card. Okay. And let's say I'm sitting down with Spencer right now, and I sit down with Spencer, and the first thing I do is I pop the lead card in front of Spencer, and I say, okay, Spencer, so can you tell me a little bit more about why it is that you went ahead and filled this out, what you were looking for? He's going to tell me whatever it is. I was looking to protect my kids. I wanted to make sure when I passed away that my burial and cremation was taken care of. I just didn't want to leave a burden behind. I've got this credit card that I want to make sure is paid off, this car loan, this mortgage, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. I'm going to let him talk. And if he doesn't really talk, I want to pull it out of him, because I don't even want to proceed with the appointment unless I pulled something out of him about why we're there. So if he doesn't say much, I just was looking for quotes. I was looking for options. Okay. So Spencer, I'm guessing that you were looking for options that either would make sure that if you passed away, there was no burdens left behind for your family, like burial or cremation. You just wanted to leave some money behind for your family. You wanted to make sure if you passed away, there was some debts paid off. What was the reason? And I kind of pull it out of them. But, it was that first one. I just want to make sure there's no burdens left behind. Okay, perfect. Now I know that I have a reason that I'm there. That's why they requested the information. So that's the first thing that I do is I set the table with, why am I here? Then I'm going to ask them, I'm going to tell them who I am. And this is where I'll kind of jump into the agenda. So I'll send y'all my agenda after this, so don't worry about that. But number 1 is, why are we here? Number 2 is, who am I? Okay. Who am I? So I've got field underwriter, broker, non-captive agent. So I sit down and I go, okay, Spencer. So at this point, I also have my credibility sheet, my client profile, and my financial inventory in front of me. So I pulled the lead card back because I've already found out why they filled it out. Now I say, okay, so here's what I want you to understand, Spencer. I'm not a typical insurance salesperson. I'm what's called a medical field underwriter. And as an underwriter, my job is to help you figure out what you are medically eligible for. I'm also what's called a broker and a non-captive agent. So as a broker, I work with all of the major insurance companies, and I'm like waving my hand over this as I'm sitting at the table. I work with all of the major insurance companies, but I don't work for any of them. I'm not beholden to one of them specifically, but I do work with every single one of them. I'm non-captive. Captive is like State Farm or Allstate. If I worked for State Farm, I'd be required to show you a State Farm product, whereas I have the ability to really shop around for you and find the best possible product for you based on your specific needs. Does that make sense? So I'll ask them, does that make sense that I'm a field underwriter, a broker, a non-captive agent? They say, yes, that makes sense. Okay, perfect. So here's what we're going to do next. Next step on my agenda is the process. Here's what we're going to do next. I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions. I slide this piece of paper out of the way, put this one on top. I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions. Health and finance, it's going to take about 2-3 minutes each. Based on how you answer those questions, slide it back. I'm going to make a recommendation on who I think is most likely to cover you. Okay. Then after that, I'm going to show you a couple of options. We're going to find something that makes sense. And then after that, we're going to help you submit a request for coverage to find out what you can qualify for. Does that make sense? Does that sound good?
Yeah, that makes sense.
They at that point give me the option to proceed at that point. Spencer, you got any questions so far?
No, it's really smooth. And it's funny about your in-home. In the very first part of your in-home, you actually revert back to what you shared with me today, your internet lead script. And remind you guys, this is Jamie's in-home presentation for internet life leads. This is instant internet life leads. It's what we're all dialing. We're all trying to grab up as many of them as possible, but he's getting the point out of the way really quick. But
I'll be honest, I'm doing this for any type of lead. So whether
Okay, cool.
it is, so the only difference is if it's a mortgage protection, same thing. And why did you fill this out? And excuse me, depending on what they say, I'm going to pull it out of them for why they filled it out and focus more on the mortgage, focus more on who it's for. If it's final expense, I'm going to focus more on that. If it's instant internet lead, I know it could be for many reasons why they filled it out. It's just a general life lead. So just to reiterate,
okay.
I sit down, I set the table, I ask, why did you fill this out? And I pull that out of them. Then at that point, I say, here's who I am. I'm a field underwriter. I'm a broker. I'm a non-captive agent. Here's what we're going to do today. That has to be like the major line that you guys take away from this is here's what we're going to do today. This presumptiveness that we have to come into the home with. I'm the doctor. I'm here to diagnose you. I'm here to tell you exactly what we're going to do today. What we're going to do today is I am going to ask you a couple health and finance questions. Based on how you answer those questions, I'm going to determine a couple options that I think you best qualify for. I'm going to show you those options, whichever one makes the most sense. We're going to go ahead and submit a request for coverage to find out what you qualify for. Sound good? Sounds good. They gave me permission to proceed. So at that point, I'm just going through the financial inventory at this point. So it's like, okay, Spencer, so I pull out the lead card. I got my client profile in front of me. First thing I do is I write down Spencer's name on the client profile. I write down the date, and I write down Spencer's name and his age on the top of the financial inventory. So I'm basically filling out this client profile and this financial inventory simultaneously. So I've got these two next to each other. Like, okay, so Spencer, I got your date of birth here is 8/15/1993. Is that right? So that makes you 27. Perfect.
Yes.
I just confirm that to start. Okay, great. Okay, and you told me that you're still working. So what do you do for work? I'm a
HVAC sales.
HVAC sales. Perfect. Okay. And what would you say your ballpark monthly income is?
Probably about $4,100 a month.
4,100. So I use the word ballpark a lot. You guys are going to notice that it kind of, it reduces the sales pressure.
Okay.
Not what's your exact income, what's your ballpark income. Okay. So 4,100. Okay. And you said here on the form that you're a non-smoker, right?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. And what kind of medications do you take?
Just omeprazole. I got acid reflux.
Oh, just omeprazole. Okay. Anything you've been prescribed in the past that you've either stopped taking or chosen not to take?
Nope.
Okay. Perfect. Always ask that question. Always ask that question. Is there anything that you've been prescribed in the past you've either stopped taking or chosen not to take? Let's pretend Spencer's a little bit older. Let's pretend he's 70.
Perfect.
Okay. He's taking omeprazole, metformin.
Yep.
He is
and I got
on some
levothyroxine
atorvastatin for cholesterol, and he's taking some, I don't know, something for anxiety. Okay. So at that point, that's Americo Eagle all day long. However, I want to find out a little bit more about Spencer right now. It seems like an Americo Eagle, but is there anything else you've been prescribed in the past that you've either stopped taking or chosen not to take? Yeah, I'm actually taking a blood thinner. So, okay. Write that down. Blood thinners are no joke. Okay. I was prescribed a blood thinner and I got taken off it a month ago. Okay. You need to dig for these things because that's like an automatic disqualification for Americo Eagle. Or I actually had cancer last year. I forgot to tell you. Okay. And that's why you just have to dig. So of course, now at that point, I'm just going to keep digging. So he's told me some medications. I don't let him in that I'm, thinking about this way or that way. It's just all as a matter of fact. It's just like, okay, perfect. Blood thinner. Got it. Next. Okay. Any major surgeries?
No.
No major surgeries. Okay, perfect. So you've never had any surgeries on your heart, your
Well, I
back,
had my
your neck,
hips,
your
had my
hips.
hips done.
Oh, you had your hip replaced. Okay. So did you have any major narcotics or pain medications that were prescribed to you post-surgery or anything long-term?
No, only while I was in the hospital, but I didn't even fill the script they gave me when I left.
Okay. So they just gave you a couple of pills just to kind of
Yeah.
last you through the couple of days, but you never refilled the prescription?
No.
Perfect. Okay. I want to figure that type of stuff out too. Have they been taking long-term pain medication? So I just follow up with a lot of these questions just to confirm these people aren't lying to me, because they will lie to you. Like, you have to understand that people will lie to you and they're like, I'm healthy. It's like, okay, what's healthy? Well, I'm taking a blood thinner. Okay. You're not healthy. Okay. So you have to dig.
Yeah.
All right. He's got a hip surgery. Okay. Family. All right. So Spencer, if something were to happen to you, who would be the person that would kind of need to pick up all the pieces? Would it be,
It's going
I
to be
don't
my
know.
wife, Janet.
It's going to be your wife, Janet. Okay, perfect. So I write down Janet in the family section. Then I go, okay, now if something were to happen to you and Janet both, this is very rare, but let's say like a tragic car accident. Do you guys have something like a backup, like oldest, most responsible child who would go ahead and take care of everything?
Yeah, it would be our oldest, I would guess. Yeah.
Okay, and what's their name?
Their name's Brett.
Brett. Okay, so I got Janet and Brett, and I filled that in. I got Janet and Brett in the family section. So now I know two things. One, let's say he's under 70. I'm going to sell spousal accidental. I just planted that seed in his mind that a tragic car accident could happen that takes both of them. That needs to now go to their kids. I planted that seed. Okay. And then also, I need to find, I'm hoping the wife's here at this point. I don't want to sit on a one legger. That's a whole nother conversation. Let's just pretend Janet's here. So I've got Janet, I've got Brett. Okay, perfect. And real quick, have you had any heart attack, stroke, cancer, anything like that?
No.
No, nothing. Any, you're taking metformin, you said. So, you're diabetic, you're taking some pills. Have you ever taken insulin?
Yeah, I actually have a pump.
Oh, okay. You have an insulin pump. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. And have you ever been prescribed gabapentin or Lyrica for neuropathy?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. And, no high blood pressure, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, asthma, COPD?
No, none of that.
No. Okay.
I'm
Any
healthy.
thyroid issues? I was pointing at my neck. Any thyroid issues? A lot of people don't know what thyroid is. Any, anxiety, depression? Oh yeah, you put down that you had that one, medication here for anxiety. Okay. And any kidney or liver disease?
Nope.
Okay. Never had hepatitis, HIV, anything like that?
No, I haven't.
Okay, great. All right, perfect. And anything in retirement, 401ks, IRAs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, significant savings?
I think we've got probably like $25,000 in a bond.
Okay, 25,000 in a bond. Okay, perfect. Write that down. Okay, and any current life insurance at all right now?
No, we don't have anything.
Okay, none. Perfect. And do you have a will?
No, we're in the middle of getting it done though.
Okay, perfect. Well, another option that I can give you, sir, is I'll just write this down here on the bottom of this sheet of paper, and I'll shove it in this folder for you here at the end. It's a website called doyourownwill.com. It's totally free. All that you need to do is go there, fill it out. It takes about 30 minutes with the wife. If you guys don't have any major assets, it's a really easy way to get a quick will, totally free. Or you can go spend $200-300 an hour with an attorney to go get this taken care of, which you're probably already doing. You just want to just get it taken care of quick by yourself. Really easy. Now, Spencer, do you bank with a bank or a credit union?
I'm with a bank.
Oh, the bank. Okay, perfect. Yeah, because you actually have a notary on staff at your bank, and you could get this will notarized. All you have to do is get it printed and notarized.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Cool. Yeah, it does.
So the reason I ask that is because I don't want to go all the way to the end of the appointment to find out they only have a Social Security debit card, and I've already got them approved for American Eagle, and then they don't have a way to pay for it. Okay. Correct. So I find out, do you have a will? Yes or no? I tell them about doyourownwill.com. Even if they have a will, hey, you can update your will, whatever it is. I tell them, and I ask them if they have a bank or a credit union, so I can leverage back to them. You can go get that notarized at your bank or your credit union. So I'm providing free value, but I'm also taking a little bit because now I know they have a bank or a credit union. So now at this point, I pop back up to the top of the page, the mortgage rent section. I kind of leave this for last. It's like, okay, so we got this house here. You own or rent it?
We actually just rent it.
Oh, you just rent it. And what is the ballpark monthly rent?
I'd probably say 1,800.
About 1,800. Okay, perfect. So we got 1,800 in rent, 4,100 in income. What would you say ballpark it takes to run the household in terms of expenses, utilities, all that stuff,
Probably another,
phone bill,
probably
Wi-Fi, all
another,
that stuff?
another 600, another $600, I would say.
Okay, another 600. So we got 1,800 plus 600. That's 2,400. I'm like doing the math in the margin here. And it's like, okay, so we've got here about $2,400 outflow and expenses. And is that before or after groceries?
That's, oh wow, that's before groceries.
Before groceries. And okay, how much do you think you spend on groceries per week?
Probably at least 130.
130 a week. Okay, gotcha. All right, so we'll ballpark it. We'll do safe overestimate. So you're probably spending about $600 a month in groceries. Okay, so we're about 3,000, about 1,100 left over. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that does sound about right.
But it's like 1,100 left over, like before an emergency or any incidentals happen. Like you got that 1,100, but it's not always 1,100 because you might have some random spending, right?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like we save that much. It's probably more like a couple hundred, if that, on most months.
Perfect. So I'm like writing all this down. And I know that he's like comfortable with a couple hundred. I know he actually has 1,100, but if his tire pops, his roof leaks, something crazy happens with his kid, he needs to make sure he's got a little bit of money. My goal is not to drain their bank account. My goal is to put something in place for them that actually makes sense, but also they can afford. So at this point, now I pretty much have everything that I need. So I'm just kind of jotting some things down in my notes. I know why he filled it out. I know what his information is here. We're just going to pretend like we didn't talk about the blood thinner. So he's an Americo Eagle, but I don't know this yet. I'm brand new. So at this point, I just went through all of this. I have no idea what to do, what to say, what product to write. So I call Grady, ring, hello. Hey, Grady, I'm sitting here with Spencer. He's age 69, him and Janet, she's 68. And it looks like, Spencer, he is an insulin diabetic, but no gabapentin, no Lyrica, no neuropathy, anything like that. He has a little bit of high blood pressure and he's taking some cholesterol. And, at one point he had a hip surgery with, a few narcotics prescribed for a couple of days, and he's taking some anxiety medication. Okay, perfect. Okay, so in that conversation, more than likely Grady's going to lead me to Americo Eagle add-on Moo Accidental. We're not going to talk about Janet right now. All we know is that, that's a whole nother conversation we can have, but let's just focus on Spencer. So we got Spencer and Janet. Grady's going to tell me, okay, Americo Eagle add-on Moo Accidental. Okay. And the things that he's going to tell me on the phone is, okay, so you've got an Americo Eagle. I want you to make sure that what I do in this situation, actually, just to make it a little bit easier for you guys, pull this out of my bag. So at this point, I will either pull out a brochure or I will pull out this 10-step final expense benefit sheet. I'll just slide this in front of them kind of as I'm figuring out quotes and whatnot. So Grady's already told me what product to write. I haven't figured out quotes yet. I slide this in front of them and I go, okay, so what we're going to do is it looks like we're going to go ahead and check out some options with a company here called Americo. Have you ever heard of Americo? And I like point at the company down here and they say, no, I haven't heard of Americo. I'm sure you've heard of Mutual of Omaha. They've been around for over 100 years, right? Okay, yeah. So these are two companies that we're going to look at some coverage with. And they've both been around for over 100 years. Americo is the largest private insurance company in the country. They're out of Kansas City. Mutual of Omaha is one of the largest public insurance companies in the country, been around for over 100 years. Now, this Americo policy, should you get approved for it, it's permanent coverage, meaning it never is going to expire. Okay, it actually lasts till age 120. The death benefit and the premiums are guaranteed to remain level. So that means whatever the benefit is, never going to go down, and the premium's never going to go up. You're on fixed income, so that's important that you have fixed expenses, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Passes on to the beneficiary of your choice. In this case, it's going to be Janet. But if something happens to you and Janet, or something happens to Janet before you, it's going to be Brett.
Okay.
Avoids probate in court, meaning that it's not going to take forever to pay out. A lot of the times when things get caught up in probate in court, it can take months, it can take years. This can pay out in as little as 7 days, as long as a death certificate is provided to the company and your family is, willing to obviously work with us pretty quickly. Now, it actually pays out tax-free. So if you were to pass away, Janet's going to receive $25,000, $30,000, $40,000, whatever that number is, tax-free. It doubles in the event of an accident. So if he had 20, it would turn to 40, 40, it would turn to 80. It actually has something called living benefits. Living benefits mean if you were to come down with a terminal illness and you were told you had 1 year to live, you could actually pull that money early, 50% of it, to actually go and take care of any medical expenses or anything that you need money for right now. And it's actually immediately approved, meaning for immediate coverage if you are approved. So what that means is that if you were to pass away tomorrow, Janet's covered. Okay. You know, a lot of these plans for some, you know, a little bit more unhealthy people, they're going to have 2-3 year waiting periods on them. This plan, if you can get approved, it's going to be immediate coverage. So you can kind of see the value if you did get approved, you know, why you'd want to keep it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. So I'm just going to show you a couple of options here. At this point, I pull out my quote tool, pull out my iPad, and I start digging through some numbers. And in this scenario, if I had a brochure, which I didn't have any brochures until like 3-4 weeks ago, I'm just having them kind of stare at this stuff for a little bit while I'm pulling out quote tools. I'm kind of building rapport as I'm doing this, just asking them random questions that I know are going to come up on the Americo app. So how long y'all been living here? You know, that's one of the questions on the Americo app. Where were you born? You know, if you lived here your whole life, and I'm just like starting to pull that stuff out so I don't have to ask it later. And
Yeah.
at this point, I'm pulling up quotes. So let's say Spencer wants to get buried. He's got $300 a month left over. So I'm going to show him max coverage, 30,000. And let's just keep it easy. I'm going to show him 30, 20, 10. Okay.
Okay.
I won't go into the strategies behind how to quote people right now. That's something you guys can deal with some of your other managers. But I go 30, 20, 10. And just to keep the number simple, let's just say it's 200 a month for 30,000, 150 a month for 20,000, and 100 a month for 10,000. Okay. Just keep it super simple. So I write Americo Eagle at the top on my piece of paper. I write 30,000 in big letter or big numbers, and then smaller numbers, $200 a month. And then I go 20,000, big numbers, 150 small numbers, 10,000, 100 small numbers. Put a line underneath it, and I go Moo Accidental Spousal, and I show 500,000 for 123 a month. Okay, and that's it. That's all I do. I put those 4 numbers on the paper. I slide that in front of them.
Let me pause you real quick. So you're doing a Moo accidental plan with the spousal rider on it. So 2 of them for $500,000.
Yep.
And you show that as a 4th at the very end.
Yep.
Okay, continue.
Yep. Sometimes I'll show 3 options for Moo Accidental. A lot of the times I just kind of go max coverage just because it's really cheap cost per unit. So I'll slide that in front of them and be like, okay, Spencer and Janet. So just remember, this is whole life insurance. So we need to make sure this is something you guys can afford for your whole life. So just like if we can't pay the water bill, the water shuts off. If we can't afford the insurance coverage, there's no coverage in place when Spencer passed away and Janet doesn't have anything to pay for the burial. Okay. So here's what we got. We got 3 options here: 30,000 for 200, 20,000 for 150, and 10,000 for 100. Okay. This is whole life coverage. This will pay out in the event of any death. Then down here, we've got a policy through Mutual of Omaha. Remember how I mentioned that, it's possible, but it's not as likely. But you guys are, you're young, you're kind of healthy. So at the end of the day, the most likely cause of death probably is not going to be a terminal illness tomorrow. If something were to happen to you tomorrow, it will probably be an accident. And as you can see here, this is kind of our cheapest cost per unit. So it's actually $500,000 for 123 a month. And what's nice about this one is that's not just for Spencer. That covers both Spencer and Janet. So the way that works is if Spencer passes away in an accident, Janet's going to get $500K. If Janet passes away in an accident, Spencer's going to get $500K. And if you guys both passed away in an accident, Brett's going to get $1 million. So that's just a great, that's just a great product to add on here. Most people, that's just their supplemental. You want to make sure that you kind of have that added on to something that's more permanent. So that's what we're looking at up here with the Americo product. So right here, we got 30,000, 20,000, 10,000. Based on those 3 options, which one of these do you think makes the most sense? Or do you think we need to adjust?
I don't know. Can we think about it?
Yeah, you absolutely could totally think about it. The one thing you have to understand, Spencer, is that the insurance companies also need to think about it. So my job as the medical field underwriter is to help you guys submit a request for coverage to find out what you get qualified for. Just like how you submit a request for a mortgage. Okay. You want to say, I want a $200,000 loan from the bank to buy this house. We're also requesting coverage from the insurance company. So just like they do credit checks, here with insurance, we do health checks. They do a hard check on your credit when it comes to, running it for a loan. If you wanted to go to the doctor and get the blood tests and all that stuff done, I would kind of call that like a hard health check. This is like a soft health check. We're just going to run a quick prescription check with Americo. We're going to have you guys sign a quick HIPAA authorization. The Medical Information Bureau is just going to check the last couple of years of your prescription history to see if you qualify. Now, if you knew you could qualify, which I'm still not sure if you can, but if you knew you could qualify, which one of these would make the most sense for you guys?
I would probably say the 15,000.
Oh, the 15,000. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So we got the $15,000 option. I put a little star next to that on the
Oh,
sheet.
sorry,
And
10,000, 10,000, 10,000. You don't like
10,000. Okay, perfect. Okay, great. 10,000 for $100 a month. Awesome. So, do you have like a top dollar in mind in terms of like the most amount of money that you'd be willing to spend on a monthly basis? Just so I can, because I know you got like the $100 here and the 150 here. Is there like a top dollar amount that you'd be willing to spend so I can look at kind of trying to get you the most amount of coverage, the best bang for your buck?
I'd probably say, I mean, no more than 120 bucks.
No
I
more than
mean,
120. At that
yeah.
point, I write 120 down and I requote for 120 and I bring it up to 13,000. You know,
And
I
you
try
ask
to
every
push it.
single one of them this. You say,
Oh
hey,
yeah.
listen, was there a top dollar you had in mind
So
where you were the most comfortable?
I only do that if they pick the bottom option.
Copy. Okay. So you
So it's
just,
like you have top, middle, bottom. Most
uh-huh.
people pick the middle. Some people pick the top.
Okay.
I show max coverage every time. It's like I'm showing you the max amount of coverage because I'd be doing you a disservice if I didn't at least show you the max amount of money that you could get covered for.
Okay.
Middle option, bottom option. If they pick the bottom option, it's because they're thinking the middle is just a little bit too expensive.
Yeah.
So at that point, I say, what's the top dollar amount that you think that you could spend? And let me try to submit for the most amount of coverage possible so you guys can get the best bang for your buck. He says 120, I get him 13,000. Okay, great. So we got the 13,000. Then we got this accidental here. You guys want to go ahead and submit for that. You understand the value. And if you pass away in an accident, you slip and fall, you trip down the stairs, get in a car accident, etc., your wife's going to get $500,000
Okay.
and vice versa. And if you both pass away, your son's going to get $1 million. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I just can't afford. Is that an additional payment?
Yeah, so that is actually an additional payment, but it does cover the both of you. We actually could go all the way down to as low as 50,000 in additional accidental, and I can kind of give you some other options there. How's that sound?
That works good.
Okay, so then at that point, I show them 300,000, 150,000, and it goes to like 79 and 49.
Yeah.
And he picks the 49. Okay, perfect.
Flawless.
Great. All right, so now you've got $10,000. Yeah, or $13,000 in American Eagle start off and 150,000 Moo Accidental start off. And I go, okay, perfect. So the next step is we just need to go ahead and submit a request for coverage to find out what you qualify for. All that I'm going to need is I'm going to need your driver's license and either a voided check or something with banking information on it.
Okay. What's the most common objection you see right at that point?
Most common. So I don't really get many objections at that point because I've set the table so well.
Yes.
However, if I do get an objection at that point, it's because I didn't do a good enough job explaining what the process was going to be looking like. It's like, we're going to submit a request for coverage. I get them because you hit me with a couple objections there already.
Yeah.
With like, oh, I couldn't afford this one. I'm like really breaking it down. So, I mean, I guess the most common one for a new person would probably be like, why do I need the voided check? Why do you need my voided check? Okay, perfect. Well, like I said, we're going to go ahead and submit a request for coverage. And what they want to do is they want to verify that, number one, you are who you say you are. And number two, that you have a valid bank account. If we go ahead and submit this request for coverage, what's going to happen is if you are approved, they're going to want to draft that initial premium, this $120 a month. They're going to want to go ahead and draft that initial premium to put an enforced policy in place, because God forbid if something happens to you tomorrow, they want to make sure you're covered. But what happens is you get entered into what's called a 30-day free look period. And during that 30 days, you have the ability to increase your coverage, decrease your coverage, leave it the same, adjust it in any way that you need to. So we just need to go ahead and submit that request for coverage to find out what it is that you qualify for.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's go.
So can you go ahead and grab me your driver's license and that voided check? And then Grady would say, and a bottle of water. So, you just ask for it.
Yeah.
At that point, you're either moving forward or you're not moving forward. That's just what it comes down to. You're either going to overcome the objection and you've set the table well enough where the value exceeded the price, or you have not.
Yeah.
Okay. So at that point, you ask for it. Now, here's the other thing that I do. And I don't know if I'm technically allowed to give you guys this advice or not. I will typically, when I get through, like I talk to Grady, he tells me American Eagle. I say, okay, next step before I even show him the quotes is I say, I just want to run a quick underwriting check with Americo just to find out if you do qualify. So this is where, okay, I just got this message here. You don't ask for the social security number and the banking info. So this is where I asked for the social security number. So we'll back up here. So I just got off the phone with Grady. Grady says, American Eagle, Moo Accidental. Okay, Spencer. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and submit a quick underwriting check with Americo to find out if you could possibly qualify for
Mm.
this product. We're just going to fill out a quick HIPAA authorization. Are you familiar with HIPAA?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And if they say no, okay, yeah, HIPAA, if you ever go to the doctor's office, just a privacy act they make you sign to make sure we don't share your medical information with anybody. Medical Information Bureau, they already have all your information. We're just going to go ahead and cross verify with them that the prescriptions that you're taking are something that's insurable by Americo. So at that point, now I come back to my client profile. I pull this out and I'm like, okay, now real quick, can I just confirm that your phone number is 248-496-1606? Yep.
Yeah.
And what's your best email address?
It's spencer@gmail.com.
Spencer@gmail.com. And your social?
777-7777.
Perfect. So I don't even look up. I just like, it's just like, in order for, so why do you need my social? Because we need to verify that you are who you say you are. And that's how the Medical Information Bureau identifies that you are who you say you are in the system.
At that point,
I can't do the underwriting check unless I have their social. So it's like, now at that point, I've got their name, their birthday, their social, their email, their phone number. And now I'm going into the underwriting check. And now I will fill out, I try to get through appointments as quick as possible. So my goal is I'm filling out the underwriting check before I'm even writing quotes if I think it's going to be Americo. So I'm filling out the first page of the application. I get to the underwriting check, they sign it. And then my goal is, you guys might laugh at this, I try to fill out the entire application other than the banking info before the underwriting check gets back to me. So it's like, I have like 30 seconds to a minute before the underwriting check gets back to me, and just really quickly, no.
That's savage.
No. Like, and I just quickly try to fill it out as fast as possible. So then the only thing I have left is the banking info. So now I go back to, I show them the quotes, they pick an option, perfect. Now I just literally come in there and I go back to the product information page. I change it to 13,000. It changes the quote to 120 a month. And then he's giving me the voided check, and I type in the routing number, account number, and I say, I just review it with him really quickly, and I proceed to the next couple steps. And then Mutual of Omaha application, you can get that done in like 5 to 10 minutes if you're quick. So yeah, I mean, at that point, then it's just, I'm building rapport while I'm finishing filling out the application. I'm making a friend. I'm really digging back into their why. I'm just asking them questions, finding different things that I can relate to them on. You know, I'm married. I've been married for 1.5 years. So I'm sitting down with a couple and I go, so how long y'all been married? They go, oh, 48 years. I go, oh, wow, I've only been married for 1.5 years. How do I make it to 48 years? And like, they start giving me advice. And it's like, hey, I'm about to have a kid. What advice you have for me? And they just start giving me advice, because it's like, I'm the expert in life insurance, but like, I'm putting it on them that they're the expert in.
I like that.
They're the expert in raising kids. I'm not there yet. And they start ranting. It gives me time to fill out the applications. It gives me time to start doing stuff. And I'm just like, I'm laughing along with them and just having them, you know, share those things with me. So now at this point, you know, I've got my final signatures. What am I doing now? I have everything. It's already been submitted. They don't know. They don't know if they've been approved or not. Okay. It depends. So sometimes I'll tell people they've been approved in the home. Sometimes I won't.
Yeah.
Some people will say it's an either or thing. They're either going to tell people or they're not. I kind of play it by ear, and then I'll write down on the bottom of my client profile, like, to call them back, telling them they've been approved or not. It depends if they've given me a you know, kind of a hard to get mentality. Spencer said, I want to think about it. So I'm not telling Spencer that he got approved, because I already told him the insurance companies need to think about it. So at that point, even though Americo says approved, even though we know that Mutual of Omaha said approved here. So basically what I do is I pull out the client profile and the credibility sheet, and I'm now writing the policy information at the top of this page. So at the top of this page, I circle Americo, I circle Mutual of Omaha, I write Spencer Fagioni, Americo, Eagle Premier Whole Life, the benefit 13,000, the premium $120, the policy number AM0055555555, and the effective date is 2/15/21. Then right next to it, Mutual of Omaha, Guaranteed Advantage Accidental, benefit 150,000. And I'll even write at the top Spencer plus Janet, because it's a spousal policy. I want to make sure they know that covers both of them. Benefit 150,000, premium $49 a month, policy number BU1098, whatever. Okay. And effective date 2/15/21. I write that down and I take everything, including the quote sheet. So I take the credibility sheet, I take this benefit sheet, and I take the sheet that I put all the quotes on, and I shove them in this folder for them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Close the folder. I write their names on the front of the folder. Spencer and Janet Life Insurance. Then I take a blank manila folder out of my bag. This is for me. This is for my office. I take the client profile, the lead sheet, the financial inventory, and the voided check, and I shove those inside of the manila folder. And I write Spencer and Janet Fagioni on the front. And then I shove this into my bag. Then I come back to the clients and I say, okay, so here's what we're looking at, guys. And I put this in front of them and I say, here's my business card. This is my personal cell phone number. The number I originally called you on, that was my office line. This is my actual personal line. You guys can get a hold of me. Right here, we've got Spencer, the Americo Eagle Premier Whole Life product. The premium is $13,000. Or I'm sorry, the benefit's $13,000. The premium's $120 a month. The policy number, the effective date. Here we've got the Mutual of Omaha Guaranteed Advantage Whole Life. This covers both Spencer and Janet for $150,000 for $49. Here's the policy number. Here's the effective date. I circled both of the companies for you. Back behind here, these are some of the benefits of the plan. If you want to tear up about why we get life insurance, you can read that in your free time. Close that. Hand it to them. So here's what's going to happen, guys. We're going to find out if you've been approved in the next 24 to 48 hours. The way that you're going to know if you've been approved is if you see a draft for the 120 and the 49 come out of your account. That's good news. That means you've been approved. Like I said, we have a 30-day free look period where just like the insurance company need to think about you. You guys have 30 days to think about the insurance company to decide if you want to adjust this policy in any way. Does that all make sense? Yep. Okay, perfect. My office manager, Samantha, is going to be reaching out to you in the next 24 to 48 hours to let you know that you've been approved. Here you go. I've got a bright green folder for you, so it's really hard to lose. What I need you to do is I need you to put this somewhere that you put all of your important documents. If you are approved, there's going to be a packet that's going to come in the mail, a welcome packet with your policy. When it comes in the mail, I need you to stuff it in this green folder. I need you to make sure this folder is somewhere safe, somewhere that both Janet and Brett know exactly where it is. So if something happens to you, they know exactly where to find it. And then what I need you to do, Spencer, is I need you to make sure that both Janet and Brett know that if something happens to you, to call me. Don't call Americo. Don't call Mutual of Omaha. Call me. I'll take care of it. I'm your agent for life. Okay.
Got it.
I'm your agent for life. I want to make sure that when your family's dealing with arguably the worst day of their life, they need to be mourning. They don't need to be sitting on hold. They don't need to be waiting to find out what's going to happen. I just need them to call me and say, hey, Jamie, something happened to our dad. Something happened to my husband. I'll take care of it. I'll deliver the check out to them myself if I have to. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, that does sound fair.
Perfect.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that we could go ahead and help you guys submit for some protection. My office is going to be getting back with you guys on whether or not you've been approved. I'm really excited that we could, get this taken care of for you guys. So I'm not saying like, thanks for your business or anything like that. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, thanks for the commission. Thanks for your money. Like, even when I send thank you cards, my thank you cards say, I've got you covered. They don't say thank you. They say, I've got you covered. That's important because I don't want them to think thank you for your business means like, I just got business. I'm the field underwriter.
Yeah.
I'm submitting requests to help your family. This is going into the third-party hands of Americo Mutual of Omaha. We're going to find out. My office is going to let you know if it's been approved or not. If it hasn't been approved, I'll come back out here and I'll get you all taken care of. Does that sound fair?
It does.
So that's pretty much what I do. And then at that point, I shake hands, hug, elbow bump, whatever kind of weird stuff people are doing. And then if I also have been going from appointment to appointment and it's been like 4 appointments, and I'm sure you guys can appreciate this. You haven't peed. If I just got a sale, I'll be like, can I please use your bathroom? Because it's been
if
like
the
4
in-home goes well, you
I
can
haven't
do
been able
things
to
like
go.
that. Yeah.
Mhm. So, all right. What kind of questions y'all have? Any follow-up questions? Anything anybody wants to know?
Well, first off, thanks for hosting, or thanks for letting us at our team kind of bring you on and share that with it. It looks like we had a lot of people join, but honestly, man, it's crazy how similar what you do is to what we do, to what other top producers do. And it just really goes to show that you're not really doing anything different. You're just more active than some of the people that aren't willing to dial as much or to run as many appointments or to be certain that they have, 8, 9 appointments a day. And then once you get in this habit, like you said, you get that first sale for the day, you're walking in saying like, listen, I'm just here to help you guys. And it's way easier on the pressure. You mentioned increasing credibility and decreasing the sales pressure as some of the first things and objections you try to overcome right out the door. And I think your whole in-home lines up with that. Some of the objections you use in the in-home are some of the things you tell them on the phone script. I mean, it's remarkable how full circle this is, how repetitive it is, and how easy it is for the clients to follow along in a comfortable way. Just listening to your objections, listening to some of that stuff, the fact that I was able to record this, I'm going to go back, write down some of those, because I think what I'm learning, again, having been a top producer myself, been a Hall of Fame producer, we got Jamie lining up to be a Hall of Fame producer. All I did was go to guys that are doing really well when I was having rough times, and I would say, what are you doing that's working? And it might only been 3 or 4 things that I write down and immediately apply from Jamie's in-home. I'm not going to uproot everything I'm doing if I'm a new agent to just be like, well, I heard Jamie do it. Jamie was really flashy with it. It worked out well. No, I just want to apply a couple things that are me, things that fit in with my personality type, things that fit in with the character I develop and bring into the home. And um, and to be honest, that's exactly what you were saying. Like, don't try to be somebody you're not. Apply what works for you. Go into the home, be yourself, and focus on protecting the client. And a lot of those other things come behind you. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, I just got to reiterate that. Like, you heard some things, but like that has come from, like, I'm well over, I don't even know how many appointments I have now, but I'm coming up on 200 clients since August.
oh yeah,
So
that's
it's like
probably over
obviously
1,000 appointments you've made then, or close to.
I don't know if I'm at 1,000 quite yet, but for sure probably
Maybe
like
half,
close to like
half.
400
Yeah,
appointments. So just don't try to apply everything you guys just heard here today. That's stuff that, like, a lot of it I didn't like, a lot of it I did learn, but a lot of it I just kind of picked up in my own personality of sitting in the home enough. And it's like, okay, I've run into this so many times that just I figured out something quirky to say, and I started saying it. So like you'll figure out your things. Like, try to apply 1 or 2 things, try to be assumptive, try to take control in the home, but don't try to like don't record this in home and write it down word for word and then like try to go to your next in home and like remember that, because it's not going to be the same. Do
yeah,
it, just take 1 or 2 things at a time and apply them and see how it lands. And if it doesn't land well, don't do it again.
yeah.
It's not even worth trying again. Just be like, okay, that's not for my personality.
You're totally right, man. Well, thank you so much. As we wrap it up, I just want to say thank you again for leading us on FFL Dial Team. You've made a lot of my agents really focus on you, and just being in some of the group chats I'm part of with you, Jamie. So this was very last second. I think Jamie's invited me to come do the same thing on his team call coming up here soon. So we'll be sure to put that in Slack. But awesome. I think that's going to be a wrap up. Thank you, everybody, for joining.